This presentation on the PSP Network is proudly brought to you by PSP Network on all social media platforms. PSP Network, it's game day.
Dakota Community Bank and Trust, your trusted partner for commercial and business loans. We not only provide lending you need to grow your business, but we also reinvest in our communities. We believe in strengthening our businesses and creating opportunities for success. Choose Dakota Community Bank and Trust for your commercial and business loans, and together let's keep our communities thriving.
Serving the community, looking out for you. At Dakota Community Bank and Trust, that's what we do.
When facing disaster, it's not just the things we lose, but the memories. But there's hope. ServPro, with decades of experience in Minot and Bismarck, is always ready. Our certified professionals don't just restore homes, they rebuild lives. Because to us, you're not just a client, you're family.
Since 2003, the architects and engineers at Ackerman Estvold have been enhancing everyday life. From response times to commute times, we've helped create critical infrastructure, enhancing highway safety, flood protection, and public education. And we're no stranger to enhancing fun, family outings, and even game time. Ackerman Estvold, working to enhance your everyday life.
Great news! If you're looking for a new vehicle, Ryan Family Dealerships has the best selection we've had in years. You'll find fantastic offers from Nissan, Honda, Chevrolet, Buick, GMC, Cadillac, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram.
Hold on! Ryan sells Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram?
Yes, we do, and we'd love to sell one to you. Visit one of our 5 convenient locations in Minot and Williston. Get your next vehicle from a name you know and trust. Ryan Family Dealerships.
That sinking feeling you get when this happens? That's oil change-anxiety. The anxiety of being without a car with a billion things to do. The fear of being overcharged. The stress of not knowing where to go or who to trust. But you never get those feelings at Valvoline Instant Oil Change, where you can watch us work right from your car, and we finish up in about 15 minutes.
We changed your oil and did our 18-point safety check.
Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Service you can see.
The race for the playoffs continues to heat up, and tonight it's going to be a big one in 2A. I'm Brock Widener, joining you on the PSP Network live from the Bijou Activity Center. As the Dickinson Mavericks, who are fresh off their first conference win on the season after crashing Jamestown's homecoming party last week, they return home to host Bismarck St. Mary's. As we enter week 3 of 5 in conference games, these two teams, they find themselves on opposite sides of the postseason cut line. So let's jump right in to how that race is starting to heat up. And taking a look, Minot North, they've got the targets on their back, them and Devils Lake. Minot North's got the best defense in the region. Devils Lake's got the best offense, and those have been the ingredients to keep them undefeated in the first week. But those two teams will be dueling it out. So the region title, quote-unquote, potential region title is probably going to be in action tonight, Minot North and Devils Lake. That is in the Magic City. Watford City and Dickinson 1-1, but Watford City has the tiebreaker over Dickinson, so that's why the Mavericks are sitting at 4. And again, top 4 in each region would be ending up going to the playoffs. So Dickinson on that last spot, St. Mary's on the spot that is looking in at number 5. And tonight going to be an interesting one because you're really looking at right now Minot North and Devils Lake as the 1 and the 2. More than likely, those two teams will be going to the playoffs. But what other two will be going on? And I think all 4 teams have a legit case to make it into the playoffs this season. It's just going to be kind of that interesting thing. Dickinson has the win over Jamestown with a loss against Watford City. You're going to have, again, maybe 2-3 teams that could be tied for that final spot. And so wins when you have to play those teams in that same situation as you are going to be crucial. And tonight, Bismarck, St. Mary's, and Dickinson could be big in the playoff picture. We mentioned Minot North, Devils Lake, one of the other games, and the final game in AA tonight will be Watford City and Jamestown. So another team that's kind of in right now and another team that's just sitting outside. So it could be very interesting at the end of the night where we could get 4 different 1 and 2 teams in the standings for 2A, and that's if Jamestown beats St. Mary's and St. Mary's if Jamestown beats Watford City and St. Mary's beats Dickinson, we could get a tie, a 4-way tie for 3, 4, 5, and 6. So should be a lot of excitement to keep an eye on that. In the EDC, Kindred and Grand Forks Central remain undefeated. They go head-to-head. So just a big time 2A week. You got the number 1 and the number 2 in the West kind of playing each other for the Western crown, and the Eastern title is on the line as well, potentially there with Kindred and Grand Forks Central. Grand Forks Red River, they are 1-1 after fresh off a win against Central Cass. Grand Forks Red River's got Wahpeton. Central Cass has got a Fargo South team, and Central Cass and Fargo South, that could be for a potential playoff spot as well. So lots on the line coming up this week. Well, before we kind of continue on with Valvoline Instant Oil Change pregame show, let's take a look at those 2A polls. Minot North, Kindred and Grand Forks Central all undefeated, 1, 2, 3. Maybe the best offense out of the bunch is Devils Lake at number 4. Grand Forks Red River took down Central Cass, so they leapfrogged them in the standings at number 5. Central Cass comes in at that quote-unquote number 6. And after an impressive win for Dickinson, they've receiving votes this week. So there you have it in the receiving votes category. Big night here on the PSP Network, brought to you by Bones Barbecue Sauce. Lots of great games. And since this is going to be it's been moved to a 7:30 Mountain start due to a ref shortage. So get the refs here and everything like that. 7:30 start. So that means a lot of the games on the PSP Network will probably be wrapping up. So you can maybe head on over there, keep the pregame show on the side until we kick off here. But a lot of great games. Legacy Bismarck, that could be for a Western title right now. Minot High taking on a very interesting Century squad. Devils Lake, Minot North. Again, that is probably your 2A Western title. And Devils Lake, highest powered offense in the region. Minot North, best defense in the region. Then Bishop Ryan and Valva, Drake Animus, Garrison, I believe, what is that, the battle for the penny? So the penny series going on there between the Lions and the Aggies. But hey, it doesn't meet that. Some marquee matchups. You got the 3A and probably 2A Western titles on the line, and then you got 3 other very fun matchups coming your way. Again, they're brought to you by Bones Barbecue Sauce. Let's continue on with the Valvoline Instant Oil Change pre-game show between St. Mary's and Dickinson on the PSP Network when we continue on.
Wondering whether you need wealth management? Wealth management is a multifaceted offering that should provide opportunities for growth and security. At BNC National Bank, we pride ourselves on putting your priorities first and providing practical, objective financial advice. Our team can help you assess your goals and take stock of your assets to determine whether wealth management is right for you. Speak to a member of our team today to learn more. Member FDIC.
Being in business for over 25 years, we've learned a lot about why local matters. Unlike those guys, we take pride in our work and back our tires with our Plus Plan guarantee to get the most out of your tire's lifespan.
Are the tires the same size on all the sides?
We strive to provide great value to our guests and lowest prices guaranteed.
That's not good.
Stop at a trusted tire and auto and get a set of tires from people you know and trust, and will even match those guys.
That sinking feeling you get when this happens? That's oil change anxiety. The anxiety of being without a car with a billion things to do. The fear of being overcharged. The stress of not knowing where to go or who to trust. But you never get those feelings at Valvoline Instant Oil Change, where you can watch us work right from your car, and we finish up in about 15 minutes.
We changed your oil and did our 18-point safety check.
Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Service you can see, experts you can trust.
At Badlands Pet Crematory, we understand that pets are family. Unlike other crematories in the area, we are the only dedicated pet crematory that offers private individual cremation. One pet at a time, 100% guaranteed. From start to finish, we personally handle your pet with the utmost care, ensuring that you receive only your pet in return. Choose Badlands Pet Crematory, because saying goodbye should come with certainty and trust.
Welcome back into the Valvoline Instant Oil Change pre-game show. Valvoline Instant Oil Change. It's a stay-in-your-car, drive-through oil change. You can find them in Bismarck and in Minot. Takes 15 minutes or less. Well, let's take a look on over now as we got the cameras rolling on the visitors, Bismarck St. Mary's. So let's talk about them. 1-5 record, 0-2 in region competition. The Saints may have been faced with probably the toughest schedule to start in the first 6 weeks, because get this is a tough deck to be dealt for the St. Mary's Saints. They faced number 1 Minot North, number 2 Kindred, number 3 Grand Forks Central, number 4 Devils Lake, and you guessed it, number 5 Grand Forks Red River. They played all of the top 5 teams in the state in the first 6 weeks. I don't think I don't know if that's even possible, but it happened. And for St. Mary's, now you kind of get this spot of, now you face the toughest. Now it's kind of downhill sledding, but you can't say it's downhill sledding because of how tough and even a lot of these 2A teams are. So even though maybe you don't got those top 5 teams on your schedule anymore, you already played them, you still got some very quality opponents down the stretch. Dickinson tonight, Watford City, and Jamestown yet to come for the Saints' schedule. Well, now you taking a look. Their lone win came in Week 4 at the hands of Wahpeton, 34-14, to close out conference play. But in West Region competition, well, they've had to play the top 2 teams in the region. The Saints fell to the top-ranked Minot North, 28-0. All points in that first half, though, were scored in the first half, and no scoring in the second half. So I thought St. Mary's defense looked really good to just slow down a very impressive Minot North offense, and I honestly thought St. Mary's offense looked really good in the second half. They were able to drive down the field multiple times, get into the red zone, but just not able to put points on the board. But a lot of positives there for St. Mary's. Then last week they took on Devils Lake at home, the most high-powered offense. They go from the best defense to the best offense on the other side. And the Devils Lake and St. Mary's were tied 14-14. Devils Lake gets a 21-14. It looked like St. Mary's was going to go toe-to-toe with them all night long, driving it down the field, but it was an interception in the red zone that really kind of turned the tides for the entire game after, again, it was tied 14-14, and then it went all the way of Devil's Lake. That high-powered offense was too much to handle, 55-14. St. Mary's schedule, again, doesn't have a ranked opponent in the final 3 weeks, but this team seeing if they can go on a late run to try to make the postseason for a second year in a row. Last year they made it, which broke a 2-year drought from the playoffs. Now let's head on over to the home team, the Dickinson Mavericks, 2-4. Dickinson has been stuck in kind of the Bill Murray's Groundhog Day movie. It seems like every single game, it's just they get caught in the same loop. They're trailing going into the fourth quarter by 1 possession, and it seems like that's kind of been the story for this Dickinson team. And for their first 3 times trailing into the fourth quarter by a possession, they would end up losing in the kind of that heartbreaking fashion, having a chance to tie or win the game in the final 3 minutes, but a turnover on downs ended their hopes. Well, they were in that same situation last Friday against Jamestown. They had the lead towards the end of the third, but at the final seconds of the third quarter, Jamestown gets a touchdown and puts Dickinson into that deja vu moment again, down by a possession going into the fourth quarter. You didn't know how they were going to respond, but they played some really high-quality football in that fourth quarter, protected the ball on offense, forced turnovers on defense. And Nate Stevenson, he's known for his offensive game, made his first defensive appearance on the season, and it came in at a big, big time because he got the big interception and then the game-sealing rushing touchdown on offense. So these two teams, they have been battle-tested for sure. Again, for St. Mary's, they just had that toughest schedule you could possibly imagine and draw up. And for Dickinson, it has just been that the fourth quarter emotions being in tight games for 4 of the 6 weeks and having that chance to win it or lose it in the fourth quarter. So it's been tough fights for these two teams, and these two teams, again, trying to make it into the playoffs. Dickinson right now, if they started today, would be 1 spot in, and St. Mary's would be 1 spot out. But if St. Mary's wins tonight, it would be reverse. So we'll see how it all plays out tonight as we'll continue on with the pregame show brought to you by Valvoline Instant Oil Change.
Planning for the future is difficult, but pre-planning your funeral is a thoughtful way to ease the burden on your loved ones. At Stevenson Funeral Home, our compassionate team will help you create a personalized plan that reflects your values. We'll make sure that your wishes are honored and that your family will have peace of mind in a challenging time. Call us today to start your pre-planning journey. You can count on us to be with you every step of the way. Stevenson Funeral Home.
Breathe in.
I can't believe I wrecked my car.
There are some things in life we can't control. But what's important is how we respond. At Jerome's Collision Center, they provide the highest quality of service, assuring the job gets done stress-free and making it feel like a breath of fresh air. And to give you peace of mind, they handle the insurance.
Are you even a therapist?
Don't worry about it. Jerome's, they're the experts. Jerome's.
Spas Etc. is excited to introduce the addition of the Master Spas line, including the Michael Phelps Swim Spas. Enjoy the relaxing health benefits and enjoy 0% financing up to 72 months or up to $5,000 off on all spas and swim spas. You'll also find $2,000 off the MSRP on all pools and saunas. Come check out the outstanding lineup of Master Spas at Spas Etc.
This presentation on the PSP Network is proudly brought to you by social media platforms. ESP Network, it's game day.
Welcome back in on the Valvoline Instant Oil Change pre-game show. It's your locally owned oil change headquarters, 25 years, the Lundins, taking care of people. Local actually matters. Not to mention, this oil change is a stay-in-your-car drive-through oil change. Typically performed in 15 minutes or less. Find them in Minot and Bismarck. It's Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Well, we talked a little bit about how these two teams have got to this point in the season. Well, the Mavericks again at that 1-1 mark, and with wins versus Jamestown after that heartbreaking loss on Senior Day versus Watford City, then they end up picking up the win against Jamestown on their homecoming night, or on their homecoming night. So kind of repay the favor did the Mavericks. Well, this meeting between these two teams, St. Mary's and Dickinson, though, is the 39th meeting between these two squads since 1975. This makes DHS St. Mary's most played opponent in that time frame. They have played Minot, Williston, and Dickinson all 38 times, so this meeting will bump it up to 39 and will be the most common opponent on the other side for St. Mary's. And for St. Mary's, that's probably a good thing because for them, this has been a positive series for them, winning 23 of the 38 previous meetings against Dickinson and have won the last 3, including a win 30-6 last year. But again, as we've been talking about every week, new head coach, new team name for Dickinson. They're seeing if they can pick up a big win here against St. Mary's. And for Dickinson's case, if you pick up your second win in conference season, you're at least kind of putting yourself in, at least at the bare minimum, a tiebreaker to get in, right? If you lose this game, you only win one game, the chances of making it to the playoffs, they're very hit or miss. But if you win at least 2, your chances definitely elevate. You have a good chance. And for Dickinson, this is a big one because you got the top 2 teams in the West region, Devil's Lake and in Minot North, left on your schedule. So it's your big one to try to get it, that second win, and then you're going to try to have to play Stunner the next 2 weeks. For St. Mary's, again, this is going to be a big one to try to get the wheels trended in the right direction with Watford City and Jamestown yet on the Saints' schedule. Let's head on over now to take a look at some players to watch tonight. There are going to be a lot of them. And for Bismarck St. Mary's, this is a team that has quite a few players that have garnered college interest, a few players that have already got some college offers too, so we'll talk about them throughout the night. But big headliner tonight, Beckett Price. And we'll jump right in to go and taking a look at WDA rushing leaders and the rushing leaders here. And you see, looks like I labeled them wrong. There we go. Price is number 1 in the 2A region. He's number 1 in the West, 948 rushing yards, 6 touchdowns. Also for Price, he is the highest totaling run getter in not only AA, but in AAA standards as well with those 948 yards. But to be that in not only AA, but AAA too is very impressive. But it's a big rushing region here in 2A. Briar Exner, who St. Mary's saw last week, 912 yards just behind him. We saw Riley Liedall-Berger right here on the PSP network here in Dickinson. And that was 714 yards for him on the year, 9 touchdowns. Liam Fry, who we saw last week, 650 yards. But Dickinson did a really good job of limiting his production last week. Cooper Chick and Nate Stevenson for Dickinson rounds out that bunch. Now we're taking a look at receiving. We got Palmer, 364 yards. And this is where Dickinson really is. You'd see a lot of Mavericks on this list if we could put in all of them in order. But Glauser, 303 yards. Paxton Leeson, I think, is at 301. But again, Glauser just passed him in the receiving yards to be the Dickinson representative. We'll see Brady Ruggles, 233 yards for St. Mary's. We saw Saylor last week with 219 yards. And then rounding out there is Connor Winter. For passing leaders, Palmer out of Devil's Lake, he runs the show, 1,250 yards, 15 touchdowns. But Nate Stevenson, right there in second. 945 passing yards, 10 touchdowns. Those are the teams that pass the ball more than anyone. Palmer and Stevenson. Jamestown kind of getting into that mix. For Thomas Wilson, we will see tonight, ranks there with 362 passing yards. So now we see kind of your players throughout the region to keep an eye on. And now let's talk a little bit more about the ones to keep an eye on in this contest. Well, Beckett Price, again, we said he is leading the entire AA, and even if you add AAA in rushing. He was an all-stater last year, 948 yards this year, 6 touchdowns. Also very beneficial in the passing game. A little bit can get involved in that, but 15 carries for 116 yards and a touchdown against Devils Lake last week. They got Dominic Zander, who is an all-region linebacker. He has offers from Minot State and the University of Mary. Another all-region player, wide receiver last year of Brady Ruggles, 16 catches for 233 yards. He's got an offer from Jamestown. He's got interest from Minot State, Valley City, and a bunch more different schools. Thomas Wilson, he's going to be in a different number here tonight. So if you are a St. Mary's fan and don't see number 5, it's because he will be wearing number 11. Will Thomas Wilson, 362 passing yards, looking to try to get it done through the air. Zach Ritter, he's got kind of that backup running back, also plays that fullback spot, 251 yards. Peyton Copy with 4 receptions, 92 yards, could be beneficial, especially had his biggest day at the office, 3 receptions for 52 yards against Devils Lake last week. But the big key about this team for St. Mary's is the offensive line. Carter Miltish and Roman Barnes are the headliners. Miltish is headed on over to University of Jamestown. Barnes has some offers from a whole bunch of different schools, including the field he's playing at tonight of Dickinson State. Now let's talk about the Mavericks to keep an eye on, and we always mention the receivers first. Paxton Leeson, 301 receiving yards. Dylan Glauser, 303. Caleb Polans, 136. It's kind of that big trio, seeing if Nate Stevenson can distribute the ball to those big 3. On the defense, Devin Height, keep an eye on him. He leads the tackling department with 69 tackles on the year. Colby Fasthorse leads them in tackles for loss with 8 TFLs. He also forced a fumble and a fumble recovery against Jamestown. Wyatt Turner and Caden Cheddar, the two-headed monster that's starting to develop here in Dickinson. Wyatt Turner has started the year as the backup, starting to really start churning in some yards, 282 on the season. And Caden Cheddar only had about 2 carries going into last week, but last week he broke out 12 carries, 87 yards as the Lightning back. Keep an eye on Cheddar. But distributing and starting that offense, it's Nate Stevenson. He will also be starting on the defense. He made his first defense appearance last week in a start. He got the game kind of sealing interception and rushing touchdown, kind of a do-it-all type player. And now he gets the start for his second straight week in defense and on offense. Offensively, again, relentless on the approach, 945 passing yards on the season, 380 rushing yards, leaves them in both departments. Had a solid week, 73 passing yards and 77 rushing yards a week ago. And Isaac Lowry, he's a little banged up, but last week was a big week for him. 2 carries, 2 touchdowns, and those were his first 2 carries on the season. And he will not be making a start on defense, but look for him to still make an impact in this game. Talk to Dawson McLaughlin. They're just going to kind of keep him, maybe kind of limit his snaps to where they really need him, but he's kind of that type of player that he's going to go until he can't go no more, but he wants to be out on that field, so they will kind of bring him in for certain plays and situations. Well, we're going to get ready and closer in to the kickoff, tonight's kickoff, but before we get there, we're headed on over to tonight's national anthem. That was tonight's national anthem here for St. Mary's taking on Dickinson. Let's take one more break, and when we come back, we'll bring you starting lineups and kickoff between the Mavericks and the Saints.
At Ryan Buick GMC, we treat every day like game day.
1.2-liter turbo engine, ultra-wide screen.
1.2-liter turbo engine, ultra-wide screen, on 2. Ready? Break.
We know how to get you in the right vehicle.
Blue Canyons, and hut, hut.
From the test drive to the handoff, we make every step easy. This season, start your drive at Ryan Buick GMC.
Nobody thinks about personal injury until it happens. But when injury strikes, so will your bills and the turmoil and everything you'll miss out on. It's a mess, and you need someone to help it all make sense. That someone is Schweigert, Clamine, and McBride. We know the territory and the process, and we work smart and hard to get you results. It's easier to get back to normal knowing there's a team behind you. We're the ones the other side doesn't want you to call. We're on your side. We're Schweigert, Clamine, and McBride.
For decades, Nodak Insurance Company has been serving our state's residents in good times and challenging times. We come together for the greater good, from simple acts of kindness to company-wide efforts that make a difference in our community. It's who we are, rooted in North Dakota and ready to serve when it matters most. Nodak Insurance Company, agents with answers.
Darren Johnson, Cody Olson, and Scott Wilkins, your agents with answers in Mandan.
Pre-game show wrapping up. Big thanks out to Valvoline Instant Oil Change bringing you tonight's pre-game show. The national anthem already sung, and now we get ready as starting lineups wrapping up. So we are ready to go here for a big night in Double-A football. Again, you got the two top teams in the West playing each other in Devils Lake Minot North. You got the two top teams in the East playing each other in Kindred and Grand Forks Central. You got a lot of big playoff games of playoff indication to watch tonight, and this one might be a big one in terms of watching it to see what teams are going to make that push for the playoffs. Two teams right now that are right on the cut line. Dickinson, if they would start right here before the game, they would be in by one spot. St. Mary's would be down by one spot. So right on that cut line should be an interesting one here. And again, we'll take a look at that right on the side of your screen. St. Mary's number 5 right now. Dickinson at that 4 spot. Talked a little bit with Coach McLaughlin pregame, and he talked to just about the kind of the keys to the game for Dickinson, and he really kind of stressed we need to take care of the ball, we need to limit those turnovers, and that's the way we talked a little bit with Owen Patterson last week as he was on the call with us in Jamestown, and we talked about the importance of playing that clean football. And for Dickinson, they had some early turnovers early on in the contest, and it was one of those things where you saw Jamestown kind of get that early advantage. Dickinson even had the lead there in the third, but some turnovers from the prior quarters kind of hurt them a little bit. They were not able to pull away. But then in the fourth quarter, they limited those turnovers, played clean football, got turnovers on the defensive end, and just like that, it switched the game around and really worked out in a positive manner for the Dickinson Mavericks, where they would end up coming away with the win against Jamestown. So play clean football, and he really kind of brought home the point of not only playing clean football, but what they're doing to try to play that clean football. They had some snaps that just were kind of awry last week, did Dickinson. And center Cannon Dressler and Coach McLaughlin, they built up a plan of how are we going to limit those snapping errors. Well, Coach McLaughlin told me what they did this week is every time before practice, Dressler would end up going and have to do 50 clean snaps before practice, and then after practice concluded, have to give 50 more clean snaps. This is something that, as a sophomore center of Cannon Dressler, to have that determination of in that mindset of I want to be better. I'm gonna put in the work, and to make sure you have 50 good clean snaps before you practice, 50 more clean snaps after practice. I feel like that is just great to see there from a young sophomore putting in that work and trying to, again, help get that clean snap and allow Stevenson to feel comfortable in that pocket. If Stevenson's comfortable, you can see what he can do on the offensive production as well as the receivers he has in Leeson, Polans, as well as Glauser and many others too. As captains hitting the field here tonight. Talked about the jersey change prior to with Jamestown. Again, for St. Mary's, Thomas Wilson will be going from jersey number 5 to number 11. Trevor Tolliver, who is wearing number 60 and 65 this year, he is wearing number 33 tonight. So a couple jersey change, one for each side before we get tonight's going. Also, you will see pink, because it is Pink Out, Breast Cancer Awareness Night here in the Bijou Activity Center. So you'll see a lot of that, and not only on the sidelines, but you'll see some players having some pink socks and stuff like that. But there you go. See all the student section in pink. See the opening coin flip. So it looks like Dickinson won the toss. St. Mary's will get it, and they will receive. So let's wait on that indication before we introduce you tonight's starting lineup. And let's start it off with that starting defense for Dickinson. Entering into the starting lineup, it's the junior Jacob Britton, senior Cole Crossley, and Easton Blau round out the defensive line. Outside line, the linebacking unit stays the same as last week. Outside linebackers of Devin Height and Colby Fasthorse and Wyatt Turner. Inside linebacker of the Nate Stevenson, the junior. Cornerbacks of Paxton Leeson and Caleb Polans. And the safeties, Jesse Hammond and Dylan Glauser. This is probably the fewest amount of changes on that defensive unit. They've seen a lot of different players that have been capable of making starts, so they've been able to kind of strategize with that and playing around some players being banged up as well. And we saw last week where they made 4 or 5 different changes of some linebackers, some on a D-line and stuff like that, but just the one change with Britton going to the starting lineup because of Lowry kind of banged up, and we will see Isaac a little bit later on tonight. We'll introduce you to the St. Mary's Saints starting offense after the kickoff from Braun, as the Mavericks will boot it away to start this contest right to left across your screen. Crowd starting to get rowdy right before the kickoff as Braun boots it. Low squib kick. It's going to be scooped up and played on forward, trying to find it on the outside, and goes right in to Devin Height. Devin Height, the leading tackler on this team, eats up Bennett Grimm for the opening tackle. A suplex type tackle there for Height. Now let's meet tonight's starting lineup. Back into the starting lineup, Roman Barnes and Carter Mikletish as the starting tackles. The guards of Drake Alman and number 65 of Rarrell. And rounding out that starting offensive line, it's Ben Baumgartner. Wilson hands it off to Beckett Price, trying to break loose, but quickly tackled by Height. You'll see a lot of Beckett Price in the backfield. He's going to be joined by Zach Richter as the 2 running backs tonight. Wide receivers Dominic Zander and Brady Ruggles, and their quarterback Thomas Wilson. Again, in that new jersey change, he is wearing the number 11 here this evening. So Wilson, I think they're back into the 5. So they got the 5 back in there. He was, I think, wearing number 11 to start, but Wilson back in the 5. He gives another handoff, this time on over to the other running back, Richter, for a first down. You'll see these two of Price and Richter kind of switch carries. Richter is listed as a running back, but kind of plays that fullback role in the I formation. Many capable running backs, though. You have Price again, who leads the state and was tabbed as the top running back in the class of 2027. So top junior running back in the state. Not only in AA, but in the state, he was tabbed as that. Price breaks it out to the left, trying to get up, and he gets upfield for a gain of about 7 for Price. Again, Dickinson, they've early on in the season had their woes defensively against really good running teams like Watford City in the past. But they last week trended in that right direction against Jamestown. They forced Jamestown to throw the ball. They did a really good job of stopping that run and try to make them have to throw it to go down the field, and was able to limit one of the better running backs in the region of Liam Fry to a very small production of what he's used to. Another handoff off to Richter. Plows near the first down marker, but only going to be about marked a yard short. So Richter not going to quite get there, as Turner in on the tackle to keep him a yard short. Now this defense faced with a big 3rd and 1 for Dickinson. And for St. Mary's, we'll see what they draw up here. Thomas Wilson. They've been keeping it on the ground. Now in 3rd and 1, probably going to do much the same. Have some motion, give it to Price. The one cut, he's off and running to the 25, the 15, the 10. Price takes it to the house. Touchdown, St. Mary's. You gotta keep an eye on Beckett Price, and there you go. He breaks out for a big-time touchdown, and a touchdown that will have him eclipse 1,000 yards on the ground in the 2025 campaign. Between AA and 3A, there were 3 running backs in the 900 mark. And now he might be one of the first ones to reach the 1,000-point club, depending on what Exner and Yusuf Jama have done so far. As the lefty kicker will boot it on in. The kick is good for Asher. So Asher picks up the kick there, and that'll make it 7-0 with 9:11 remaining here in quarter number 1 as Dickinson gets the ball for the first time tonight when we return. Asher Coughlin picks up the PAT after the big 40-plus yard Beckett Price touchdown run. So St. Mary's comes down here, the Queen City, on a late night for the Saints, picking up a early touchdown. Little drop that's going to pull out of bounds right in front of Caleb Polans. So that's going to be a flag and get the Mavericks some nice field position to start at the 35. Well, let's meet that starting offense for the Mavericks. Left tackle Jacob Britton, Colton Brown, the left guard. The sophomore Canton Dressler, Cale Thompson, and Cole Crossley make out the right side of the line. Quarterback Nate Stevenson, Wyatt Turner, the running back, making his second start at tight end this year, Devin Height, and wide receivers Dylan Glauser, Paxton Leeson, and Caleb Polans. It's the exact same starting lineup on offense as last week for this crew here in the black and orange. They'll hand it off to Turner. The shifty back will make his way for a gain of 3. Now let's meet the starting defense for St. Mary's. Carter Miklatich, Jackson Barth, and Zach Long on the defensive front on the 3-4 line. The linebackers is Zach Richter, Dominic Zander, Bennett Grimm, and Vincent Langenfelder. Peyton Copy, Cale Burns, the corners, and the safeties are Jacoby Grimm and Marcus Anderson. Give the ball back on over to Turner, and he's going to be dropped for a loss of 1 up front. Barth in there in the mix, and again, he is headed on over to play collegiately as he committed to Minnesota State Moorhead to number 44 in the white and blue. There you see him there. One of those players that is going to be probably a big name through the entirety of this one, especially on that defensive unit. 3rd and 8 is what the Mavericks are faced off with on their first drive. A low snap, picks it up, and he is sacked. Stevenson goes down, a big-time sack up front for the St. Mary's Saints. Coming down with it is Drake Almond, the sophomore. Let's take a look at the Drake Almond sack. There you see, just able to pick it up there on the sack from Stevenson. It was a little bit of a low snap there from Dressler and allowed Almond to get to the backfield quickly. Braun now punts it away. Lots of rotation on that kick, but he'll have a friendly roll. Drops around the 45. It'll roll all the way to the 34-yard line. It's a good kick there by Braun. Flips the field and will set it up with St. Mary's offense, who already struck pay dirt on their first time hitting the field with Beckett Price. Again, for this Dickinson unit, it's about trying to force St. Mary's away from the run game. It's kind of a similar of what their game plan was against Jamestown. Trying to limit Price and Richter and try to force Thomas Wilson to throw the ball. Wilson brings in Ruggles in motion. Ruggles goes from right to left. They'll hand it off to Richter. Richter hit from behind by Blauer, but he falls forward for a gain of 4. Easton Blauer, again, he started the season more as a linebacker, but the last couple of weeks he's been starting on the defensive line. Brings them, again, some nice athleticism in on that front unit. It's kind of like they're running, 2 defensive linemen, and then you run kind of 6 linebackers, if you will, with moving Blauer as a defensive lineman, and they always have Fast Horse kind of that rushing linebacker. Barth in motion. They'll hand it off to Price. Hits a hard cut, but won't go far. Plenty of Mavericks in there. Nate Stevenson, Blauer, and more. Force just a gain of about a yard or 2 for Price and the Saints. And that issues a 3rd down. So far, 1 for 1 in 3rd down conversions are the Saints. I believe it was the last one that hit pay dirt with a Beckett Price home run, 40-plus yard touchdown. They're looking into more of a passing option here with 3 receivers to the right. Still got, though, Price in the backfield. They look to pass. Look in the direction of Ruggles on a little bit of a screenplay. Not going to go. Great defense from Caleb Polans and company. And that will force St. Mary's potentially the punt, unless they wanted to try to make a statement here early on, but it looks like they will go back to punt. Beckett Price. What can't this kid do? One of the best running backs in the state. Looking is also as a punter as well. Jumps up, climbs the ladder to get this punt off. Poland's going to let that one drop as a friendly Saints roll. Drops an extra about 10 yards, dropped at the 30, rolls to the 20, and just like that, the Mavericks will set up shop at the 20-yard line. For the Mavericks, that's what they wanted to see. See that defensive line, those linebackers able to stop that run game. After St. Mary's made the noise early with that first possession touchdown, a great defensive stop for the Saints early on. Now we'll see if the Saints can replicate that first defensive stand here on the Mavericks' second drive. Height in motion. back to Turner. Both these two teams trying to run the ball. They're trying to do it efficiently as Amon in with another tackle. But a nice run there for Turner. Give him a gain of 6. So Turner again, that lead running back. After the injury to Cameron Bowden early on, Turner picked up that starting role and is really starting to find success in that role as the season goes on. We'll also probably see Caden Cheddar a little bit later on. Bobble on the snap, ball on the ground. St. Mary's say they have it, and they do. It's Dominic Zander coming out of the pile with it. The big celebration as the Saints defense, 2 big stops early on in the first quarter, and this one going to be one that forces a turnover. And there you go, that just a little bit of that bobble on the exchange there from Stevenson to Turner. Forces some issues, and the ball finds its way on the turf. Zander jumps on top of it and gives the Saints excellent field position with the ball at the Dickinson 26. Saints, let's see if they try to go back to the bread and butter. Yes, they do. They pitch it out to the left to Price. Almost spins out of a tackle from Blauer, but met by a whole bunch of Mavericks. Able to kind of team tackle Jesse Hammond, the one to finish him off. Jesse Hammond, one of those kids that just took part of the opportunity and ran with it. The first 3 weeks of the season, 2 tackles. The next 3 weeks, he's had 35 tackles. So again, Jesse Hammond has really made a big mark of being one of those players that kind of come off the bench to being in that everyday starting role. There you see they're only allowing a gain of 1 on the tackle. Wilson looking to pass. Wilson's got plenty of time. He sends one into the end zone, and it's caught for a touchdown by Jacoby Grimm. St. Mary's kept the ball on the ground. They kept the ball on the ground. Run. They lull you to sleep. And Wilson with a big-time pitch and catch to Grimm. Let's check that out on the Ryan Family Dealership. Instant replay, a beautiful catch by Grimm. Puts the hands up, and the celebration afterwards puts up St. Mary's up 2 scores. And will send back their kicker of Asher Coughlin to boot it off. The lefty sends it through the uprights. St. Mary's leads 14-0 here in the Queen City. 4:08 remaining in the opening frame when we continue on the PSP Network.
When facing disaster, it's not just the things we lose, but the memories. But there's hope. ServPro, with decades of experience in Minot and Bismarck, is always ready. Our certified professionals don't just restore homes, they rebuild lives. Because to us, you're not just a client, you're family.
Thomas Wilson finding Jacoby Grimm on a big-time 25-yard touchdown throw and catch. Grimm before then looking like only had 1 reception before that one. His 2nd reception on the season. It's a big one. Puts his team up by 2 scores here early on. And for the Saints, they're looking for their first win in conference play this season, and that would help really juggle around the 2A standings. Last year, these two teams, almost identical records. St. Mary's, though, made it in. Dickinson did not make it to the postseason. We had St. Mary's, Jamestown, and Dickinson all kind of right there at the end, and this year looking like it's going to be all in that similar boat again, with Jamestown, St. Mary's, Dickinson, and Watford City all vying for those final 2 playoff spots representing AA. Early penalty on the drive before it even gets going for the Mavericks. 1st and 15 with 4 minutes on the clock. They've been emphasizing the run game. Will the pass game start getting into effect? They're going to direct snap it to Stevenson. It's a quarterback keeper. He goes upfield near the first down marker, and it's a gain of 9. Stevenson always pumped to get a first down, but he knows this time he's a yard short. Maybe he's going to keep that celebration in his back pocket. Still job to be done here for Stevenson, and again, he's one of those players, ultimate compete level. You saw that at first glimpse last week against Jamestown. They're going to hand it up right to Cheddar, who surges ahead enough to move the chains. So move the chains as Cheddar gets it. They needed about 1.5 yards. They give him about 2. Caden Cheddar, 2 carries before last week. Well, last week, 12 carries, 87 yards for him, and he was a big-time player for the Mavericks in the homecoming crashing party there for Jamestown. Stevenson puts it right back into the hands of Cheddar. Cheddar is a track and field kid and talked with head coach Dawson McLaughlin, and Cheddar had a big home run kind of hit. I think it was about 50-something yards, 40-something yards, but he got caught from behind by Jamestown Blue Jay, and went back into the huddle and talked to his head coach and said, did I really get that slow now? I thought he used to be faster than that, and well, how did that kid catch me? But, hey, that's the game of football. 2nd and 8. Stevenson looks to the right. In and out of the hands. A dropped ball there for Dylan Glauser will bring up 3rd and 8. Glauser, the leading receiver for Dickinson. 303 yards, a whole 2 yards more than Paxton Leeson. Again, those two have been a dynamic duo. You can put them on the same side of the field, opposite side of the fields, and it's just tough to kind of strategize around for defensively. They're both on the top of your screen. Stevenson stepping into it, delivers a strike down the middle, out of the hands of Height, almost into the hands of Glauser, but it hits the dirt. They will take a look at this one of how this shook up. Look at Stevenson deliver the strike in and out of the hands of Height, almost caught by Glauser on the redirection. Almost one of those lucky accidents there for the Mavericks. But instead, it's 4th and 8, and they have to punt it away. Bronze-Lask punt was one of beauty. This one, though, gonna be blocked, sent near the end zone. It's a mad dash, scooping it and scoring it for St. Mary's. It's Tomasio. We'll see if it's a scoop and score or if it's a yard short. Either way, Tomasio. There's the celebration. Could not quite catch the punt block of the end. We ran out of time there, but put them at the... No, it is a touchdown, so wait and see. We had to wait and see, but no, they will say a touchdown, and everything is going right for St. Mary's. So Tomasio comes up with the punt block and the scoop and score. And now Coughlin trying to make it 21-zip in favor of St. Mary's, and he does. So the special teams for St. Mary's, a punt block and a scoop and score at the 1 brings it in. 21-0. St. Mary's firing on all cylinders. Dickinson seeing if they can get that offense moving when we return.
We want it all. We want our dog to fetch it.
Drop it.
And drop it. We want to fix it ourselves. And actually fix it. We want to order the market price lobster. And know the market price of the lobster.
How much is... Whatever the market says.
Sadly, we can't have it all. except at Sport Clips, where we check in with the pros in men's hair and totally check out with pure, uninterrupted relaxation. Sport Clips. It's a game changer.
Joe Tamasia comes up with a big-time punt block, and he scores on the play as well to make it 21-0. It's all going St. Mary's direction here in the Queen City tonight. Leeson flowers that one to the 39-yard line to set up shop for the Mavericks, and what is starting to look like almost a must-score drive, and at the very minimum, it's one that you need to make a nice long drive, have some big-time connections here for the Mavericks. Again, for St. Mary's, this is kind of a later game on their side. I mean, it's 8:30 Central Time is when this kicked off. But they came here to play as it's near now 9 o'clock Central. And it's given a handoff off to Turner to the left. Turner follows the blockers well as he's brought down at the 44. Again, for Dickinson, it's not that they've played, in a bad game to this point. It's just had some of those drive stoppers and then that punt block for the touchdown. There's a little bit of a high snap. Stevenson brings it down. They'll swing it out to Leeson. Leeson shows his burst of speed, moving the chains. Paxton Leeson with that catch has now surpassed Dylan Glauser in the receiving yard category to top it for the Mavericks. Again, probably every time Leeson and Glauser make a catch from this point over in the season, it's going to probably be back and forth of who's your receiving leader. Coming in the contest, Glauser was it by 2 yards, but Leeson going to be now after that game. Get it right back to the quarterback, and Stevenson powers forward. Going to get a nice push from Turner from behind. Get an extra couple of yards, give him a gain about 4 or 5 on the ground. Time continuing to tick, 44 seconds left in the opening quarter. For a strong St. Mary's start, as they saw a rushing touchdown, a passing touchdown, and a punt block for a touchdown. Snap almost gets away, and I think it kind of did, and they, instead of giving it to Turner, Stevenson just going to take it himself. Taking a look at that, snap just a bit to the side, bobbled it there with Turner. And Stevenson, I'm just going to take it there. I don't know if that was a design kind of read option, but either way, Stevenson with the keeper continues to get Dickinson closer and closer to the Serve Pro red zone. 4 seconds left. Does not look like they will play another snap, and that means St. Mary's will lead at the end of one, 21-0 after a blazing hot start for the Saints. Quarter number 2 coming up on your way on the PSP Network when we return.
Every football fan has their Sunday routine. Maybe it's setting your lineup, firing up the grill, or claiming your spot on the couch. But the center of every Sunday is the drive. The morning drive home before kickoff. The drive to your buddy's watch party. Wherever you're headed, we can take you there.
Cheer team trying to get the student section energized as Dickinson trails early by 21 to St. Mary's, but their offense starting to drive down the field to close out the first. They're just knocking on the door of the Serve Pro red zone. Today's game brought to you in part by Minot State. The best way to predict your future is to create it. With over 100 areas of study at Minot State, you'll earn the degree for the career of your desire, with more than 96% of recent Minot State grads employed or continuing their education. MSU grads get jobs, period. Minot State University. Be seen, be heard, be you. Strong drive thus far for the Mavericks, bringing them at inside the 30-yard line. They'll go back to Turner. as he stumbles but picks up a gain of 3. St. Mary's defense, offense, and special teams were able to really tilt this game early in their favor. The Mavericks, though, plenty of time, as again we just started quarter number 2 to try to build their momentum to get back into this contest. Polans, Leeson on the top of the screen. They'll bring Glaser to go solo on the bottom. Saints show Russ with Xander. They do. They pitch it out to Leeson. Does Stevenson for a first down. Xander showed the pressure. But great work there by Stevenson to just keep cool, calm, and composed. Get that nice little pass out to Leeson to move the chains. And Xander's a very fun player to watch on that defense unit for the Saints. Number 1 in the blue and white. Keep an eye on him. Again, he can show that pressure when he wants to. As the Saints jump early, it's Barth, the one to jump offside. So it looks like that is going to they call on the encroachment, so allows Dickinson to move up another 5 yards as they're in to the Serve Pro red zone. 24/7 emergency service trained technicians, advanced technology, fire and water cleanup, and restoration. It's Serve Pro. Same look, Polans and Leeson on the top, Glaser on the bottom. Hands it off to Turner. Turner was met by a couple of Saints right when he touched the ball, but was able to somehow shift his way for a gain of 1. Sometimes all you need is that keep on getting that one consistent yard or a couple of yards down. That put him right at the 10, bring it up to 2nd and 5. Cheer squad continues to get loud here in the Queen City at the Bijou Activity Center. Turner goes from the right hip to behind Stevenson. Stevenson back to pass. Throws one in the direction of Leeson as he drops it at the 2-yard line. Goes incomplete. And brings up 3rd down. The play was there, just could not quite connect on it. On the play call there from head coach Dawson McLaughlin. McLaughlin used to play wide receiver right here on this field, a part of the Dickinson State Blue Hawks. They'll bring in Tucker Broughton in motion right to left on the line. Setting up for a quarterback keeper for Stevenson. He dives near the pylon. Looks like it'll be 4th and 1, so what do? Looks like McLaughlin showing in that they are going to go for it. And it's Isaac Lowry who got his first 2 carries on the season last week, and he scored both times. Enters the game for his first appearance tonight, but it looks like a flag early on before we even get a snap. So that's going to change. Either it's an automatic first down or going to make it a little more tougher, but no, it's going to be an automatic first down. Gets a roar from the fans. And so Isaac Lowry, who's going to make his first probably play of the day, snap of the day, he's going to head back to the sideline. He's that kind of short yardage fullback, or able to pave the way as well for the running back behind him. Bring him back out off the field and bring back the offense. Glaser now, who's on the bottom of your screen for a lot of times. He'll be the lone receiver to the top now. They hand it off to Turner. Goes to the left side, and he's going to be brought down 2 yards short of the goal line. Give him about a gain of 1 or 2 on the play. They'll actually mark him at the 3. So many different options when you get to this point. Keep it on the ground with Turner. He got some options there. Then you can also bring in Lowry if you need him too. Stevenson goes with the quarterback keeper, and he finds his way in for 6. A rushing touchdown for the junior quarterback. puts the Mavericks on the board. We talked about it before this drive began. It was starting to look like a must-score drive for Dickinson, and that's what they do, put points on the board. And there's nothing St. Mary's defense could have done better than what they did. Great work to get to Stevenson, but Stevenson was just able to power his way in for 6. And Braun puts it through the uprights just like that. Dickinson on the board, but St. Mary's continues to lead by multiple scores, 21-7, 8:35 remaining before halftime as we continue on the PSP Network.
At Shots Crossroads, we make 8 gallons of homemade ranch dressing every day, so you can smother your dinner salad with it, dip those crispy golden French fries in it, and dunk your breaded chicken strips. You can even cover your... Wait, no. You can't put ranch on steak. Or can you? Shots Crossroads. Don't forget the ranch.
Tonight's game brought to you in part by Farsted Oil. Contact Farsted Oil today to find out how their skilled sales team can help you achieve your wholesale fuel, mobile lubricants, and EDF needs. Proudly serving North Dakota, Montana, and western Minnesota since 1938, committed to outstanding customer service and reliability. It's Farsted Oil. Big thanks to all of our sponsors that make these broadcasts possible. Got a big night here on the PSP Network. A lot of big marquee matchups as that one going to roll in to the end zone. So we're talking about all those big marquee matchups. Well, let's talk about the matchups here. Brought to you by Bones Barbecue Sauce. Again, Legacy, Bismarck. That's kind of the battle for the West Region title potentially in 3A. Then you got Minot High and Century. St. Mary's here in Dickinson. Devil's Lake versus Minot North, which could be the title for 2A West Region. And the battle for the penny, Bishop Ryan, Velva Drake, Animus. All going on your way here on the PSP Network tonight. Again, you can either find us on our webpage, pspnetwork.com, or on YouTube. So lots of great matchups here tonight. We got a lot more of great matchups coming up next week as well in volleyball and in football. Getting wrestled to the ground there is Price as he flips the ball up with a gain of 4. So Stevenson finds the end zone to work it down into a 14-point gap after St. Mary's controlled that first quarter well. A passing touchdown for Thomas Wilson, a rushing touchdown for Beckett Price. And then Thomasia with the blocked punt for a touchdown. They pitch it back out to Price. He is met by Devin Height, but he will fall forward into another St. Mary Saints first down. In this offensive line, they are solid. You got 2 guys that are going to be probably playing collegiate football on the corners of this offensive line. One already committed, one already receiving a lot of interest. Carter Mikletich, one of them. He is headed on over to the University of Jamestown, and Roman Barnes has interest from a couple of different universities around the area, including right here in Dickinson State. This time, though, Blower and Fast Horse come up with a loss on the play. Get them right at the line of scrimmage. Colby Fast Horse, always fun to watch him and Blower on that, kind of the edges of that defensive line. To show their athleticism. They might not be like the prototypical size for a defensive lineman, but they can definitely play it to their strengths as well. Fakes the handoff to Price. Wilson wants it all. He's got Ruggles in and out of the hand of Brady Ruggles. Close there. Ruggles snuck behind. Wilson puts one almost on the money. Maybe hits the tip of the fingers there of Ruggles, his favorite target on the season. Ruggles entered the day with 233 receiving yards. He wanted a big chunk there. trying to get back into the Dickinson territory, but will just come shy of that big play. Brings up 3rd and 10. 3rd and 10, more than likely a passing down, but they're put into the I formation. A lot of movement from Dickinson. Beforehand, they go misdirection and height with the TFL. They go to Barth, and Height was ready for the misdirection. See all that movement pre-snap for Dickinson. It didn't matter because Height, he's the leading tackler for a reason. Gets a tackle for a loss of 6 and sends in the punt team to the Saints. Polans awaits the return. High kick forcing Polans to retreat back. He'll call for a fair catch as he hauls it in at the 34. Smart play there for Polans, though, knowing, hey, I can quickly call for this fair catch and then go after it, and that's what he did. Hauls it in cleanly as a lot of Saints were already there. Great special teams play for both these two teams thus far. The block punt for St. Mary's. Both punters have looked sharp, and so have the PAT kickers. Special teams doesn't get talked about enough, but they're very instrumental in determining the wins and the losses, as Turner dropped by Richter and company for a loss of 1. Richter gets the tackle as time under now 6 minutes, so halfway through quarter number 2, which could be a big drive of how this game shapes up, especially as this one nearing halftime. It shapes up for the rest of this game. Mavericks able to bring it within one possession before half, or will this be a multi-possession game before the half in favor of the Saints? Barth tracking out Stevenson, who's been scrambling forever, throws one in the direction of Polans. He gets it, 30, the 25, the 20. He is brought down, but after a big gain for Dickinson. Caleb Polans and Stevenson connect, and they're into the Serve Pro red zone. Wish we could have got the entire side of that instant replay, but again, the play was so long developing that it gets cut off because Stevenson was probably in the backfield running around for probably was 10, 15 seconds. I mean, it seems like it's maybe a big number to throw out there, but that's probably what it was. Stevenson had plenty of time. Great offensive line work as Turner now gets it right up the middle, and he's brought down by Zander. You can't ask for any better from the offensive line. Gives their quarterback an eternity amount of time to get that ball down there. They just wait for those receivers to get open. Polans finds a little bit of a sweet spot in the defense and takes advantage. 2nd and 5 now at the 6 in the Serve Pro red zone. This time it's Cheddar as Barth drills him for a gain of 2. And here comes Isaac Lowry running onto the field. Devin Height getting on there as well. Two of those players that just crave contact. Perfect in these short yardage goal line situations. Lowry again, 2 touchdowns on 2 carries. One was about a 1-yard carry, the other one was about 7, and McLaughlin said he was just wanting him to get the first down, which is 2 yards, and he wanted 7 yards to get the touchdown. This time they'll pitch it out as setting the edge. There is Lowry as they score the touchdown on the pitch play. It's a touchdown for Caden Cheddar. Cheddar gets the pitch. It was just following in line from Isaac Lowry, and the Mavericks starting to build momentum, getting back in now within 1 possession. Braun's kick is up, and it is good. 21-14. Cheddar with the touchdown brings Dickinson within 7.
Whether you're looking for a full-service financial plan or planning for farm or business succession, Planning Team Financial Advisors is here to help you work toward achieving your financial goals. With locations in Bismarck, Garrison, and Center, Our full-service team of professionals are dedicated to helping you work towards achieving your financial goals. Visit us online, planningteam.com.
Securities offered through LPL Financial, member of FINRA SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through New Edge Advisors, LLC, a registered investment advisor. New Edge Advisors.
The pitch play. Stevenson pitches it out to Caden Cheddar, follows behind the lead blocker of Isaac Lowry, and it punches it in for 6. Braun's extra point was good, and just like that, Dickinson, after trailing early 21-zip, is now within a touchdown with 3:39 before the half. Squib kick, seen cleanly there by the St. Mary's Saints. And Grimm will lower the shoulder. He made sure he wasn't fumbling that thing as soon as he picked it up. Had those two arms securely wrapped around the football and brings it up to the 32. St. Mary's offense looked really good the entirety of this game, but may face with their biggest struggle last drive as Dickinson's defense was able to really limit the yardage that St. Mary's was able to put up. But a pass from Wilson to Ruggles, if that was just maybe placed maybe a couple inches or centimeters a little bit behind, he would have ended up getting it. There's a coughed up ball as Copy drops it. It's picked up by Hammond. Copy grabs the ball and he gets popped. The ball squirts loose into the hands of Hammond, and it was Caden Cheddar with the forced fumble. Cheddar with the touchdown on one end, the forced fumble on the other. A big time play. And that sets up the Mavericks down by a touchdown to try to score 21 unanswered. They'll hand it off to Turner. This has been kind of a stage of 2 quarters. You had St. Mary's control the first quarter, put 21 points in the first quarter, and now the second quarter is all Dickinson. So it's 2 games within the game thus far. This is going to be one of these games where every quarter is a different chapter of the book to try to get to the conclusion of who's in the win column and who's in the loss column. Little play to Leeson. A St. Mary's Saint fell in the secondary, allowing Leeson to not only pick up a first down, but knock on the door of the Serve Pro red zone, put him at the 21. It's one of those plays that it's a very simple play, not a flashy play, but hey, it's a productive one. Just get it out to the outside to the playmakers. You got so many of them. And let the wide receiver do the rest of the work. Brought in motion right to left across the offensive line. They hand it off to Turner. Jets right up the middle. Richter wrestles him down, but not before a gain of 9. Turner having a solid start to the day, helping the Mavericks get into the Serve Pro red zone with 2 minutes remaining in quarter number 2. Second and 2, ball at the 13. Glauser, the lone receiver on the top of your screen. Broughton now goes to the right side of the line. They hand it off to Turner. Turner trying to back his way for a first down, but Barth wrestles him, trying to pull him back. The sighting is very close. We'll wait and see. And it's issued a first down for the Mavericks. It's a Maverick first down. So the basically first and goal. They could get another first down, but they'd have to get the ball right at the 1-yard line. So 1st and 10 at the 11 for DHS. 1:20 on the board. Stevenson, quarterback keeper, lowers the shoulder. Hit by Barth. Stevenson's running back came in, sailing right after and kind of plowed in the back of Stevenson, almost like a tackle, but just to try to get Stevenson an extra yard or two to Turner. Tucker Broughton being attended to on the sideline for Dickinson. Not sure if doesn't look like anything too serious as a timeout to be taken. And we will take one with them. 45 seconds on the board before the Charbonneau Car Center halftime show. St. Mary's leads 21-14, but Dickinson trying to tie it up before the half.
Since 2003, the architects and engineers at Ackerman Esvold have been enhancing everyday life. From response times to commute times, we've helped create critical infrastructure, enhancing highway safety, flood protection, and public education. And we're no stranger to enhancing fun, family outings, and even game time. Ackerman Esvold, working to enhance your everyday life.
DHS trying to even things up after trailing 21-0. With 14 unanswered, it was a forced fumble by Caden Cheddar. Hammond jumps on top of it and gives Dickinson an opportunity to try to even things up before halftime. Stevenson fakes the handoff, and he's in the end zone for a touchdown. Nate Stevenson, his second rushing touchdown on the night. This one pulls them within one of St. Mary's. It fooled the entirety of the St. Mary's defense. Everyone goes after the ball, the running back, and Stevenson. There you see a little bit of the pose, the hands on the hip. Little superhero pose as Braun kicks it in. 21 answered points for Dickinson to even things up. 21-21, 40 seconds before the half. And the celebrations continue on for Dickinson, who's battled their way back into the contest.
The foundation of the financial planning approach at Legacy Financial Partners is a personal relationship. Our unique and collaborative approach to financial planning starts with your dreams, not just the numbers. We will work with you regularly to take action to update your plan as your needs evolve, recommending products and services that are right for your situation.
St. Mary's scores the first 21 points of the contest. Dickinson scores the next 21 points. 21-21 after Nate Stevenson fools everyone on the St. Mary's side by faking the handoff. And my camera operator here of Austin Roth said he was almost fooled on the play as well, but he kept with it, got the touchdown on your screen on the PSP network. Love the trickery there. Great play call there on the read option for Coach McLaughlin. Little roller and almost roll out of bounds, and it does. Heads up play for St. Mary's to let that one roll out there by Grimm. He just kind of stood there, waited, and eventually it finds its way out of play. That was Brooks Armstrong with that heads-up play. So Armstrong there, knowing the rules, just waits for that ball to go down. And in case that one was going to stay in bounds, he was right there on it. But now what do you drop is really kind of the question mark here for Toby Schweitzer. Do you run the ball once and just say, hey, tie game, let's go into half tied, or do you try to gamble a little bit with all three timeouts? Price tried to spin out of contact before being brought down, and it looks like there is some urgency here for St. Mary's as they are going to call for a timeout after the gain of 5. So they are going to see if they can produce kind of that 1-minute drill type offense to get them into this, to get them back on top before halftime. We'll stay with you right here on this break. And this game, again, brought to you in part by BSN. BSN creates exclusive personalized solutions for North Dakota high school and collegiate programs. From custom equipment, uniforms, and coaches' apparel to fan wear, branding, and more. They do it all. Contact your local BSN sales pro today. Today's game also brought to you in part by the Aggie Foundation. Vote each week for the PSP Network Player Performance of the Week. Nominees will be posted on social media each Monday with a winner announced on Thursday. The Player Performance of the Week is sponsored by the Aggie Foundation. You can learn about their charitable work at theaggiefoundation.com. Again, the Aggie Foundation, big out of the Valva area, and they got that big game also on the PSP Network tonight. Valva Drake Animus Garrison taking on Bishop Ryan in the Battle of the Penny, one of those big historic rivalries here in the state of North Dakota. Pitched out to the right to Price. He is hit by Caden Cheddar. Caden Cheddar, have yourself a ball game here in the first half. He's got a rushing touchdown, a forced fumble, and there's a big-time tackle to now say for Coach Schweitzer just to have this one clock ticking towards half, and that is going to do it for the first half of play. St. Mary's scored the first 3 touchdowns. Dickinson needed momentum after that, and they got it. 3 touchdowns unanswered to even things up, 21-21. St. Mary's controlled the first quarter. Dickinson controlled the second quarter. They head on over to the halftime, as when we come back, we will talk all about it on the Charbonneau Car Center halftime show.
This presentation on the PSP Network is proudly brought to you by social media platforms. PSP Network, it's game day.
Dakota Community Bank and Trust, your trusted partner for commercial and business loans. We not only provide lending you need to grow your business, but we also reinvest in our communities. We believe in strengthening our businesses and creating opportunities for success. Choose Dakota Community Bank and Trust for your commercial and business loans, and together let's keep our communities thriving.
Serving the community, looking out for you. At Dakota Community Bank and Trust, that's what we do.
Planning for the future is difficult, but pre-planning your funeral is a thoughtful way to ease the burden on your loved ones. At Stevenson Funeral Home, our compassionate team will help you create a personalized plan that reflects your values. We'll make sure that your wishes are honored and that your family will have peace of mind in a challenging time. Call us today to start your pre-planning journey. You can count on us to be with you every step of the way. Stevenson Funeral Home.
When facing disaster, it's not just the things we lose, but the memories. But there's hope. ServPro, with decades of experience in Minot and Bismarck, is always ready. Our certified professionals don't just restore homes, they rebuild lives. Because to us, you're not just a client, you're family.
The foundation of the financial planning approach at Legacy Financial Partners is a personal relationship. Our unique and collaborative approach to financial planning starts with your dreams, not just the numbers. We will work with you regularly to take action to update your plan as your needs evolve, recommending products and services that are right for your situation.
Spas Spas Etc. is excited to introduce the addition of the Master Spas line, including the Michael Phelps Swim Spas. Enjoy the relaxing health benefits and enjoy 0% financing up to 72 months or up to $5,000 off on all spas and swim spas. You'll also find $2,000 off the MSRP on all pools and saunas. Come check out the outstanding lineup of Master Spas at Spas Etc.
Welcome back in as the Maverick cheerleaders are kind of enjoying their senior day, so they are being honored here at the half. So great to see there. Again, they've been a rowdy group trying to get the student section energized, and they played a big part. This team was trailing 21-0 as Dickinson. The cheer team was starting to get loud, get that student section going, and after that, it's 21 straight Maverick points, evens things up 21-21. But how did we get there? Let's talk about the specifics. It all started out with Bismarck St. Mary's first drive, and it's the first touchdown. Beckett Price, the rushing leader in not only on his team, but in Double-A with 948 yards, leading WDA 2A stats there, and again, eclipses the 1,000-yard total on the season with a 40-plus yard touchdown, 7-0. Then it was Thomas Wilson with 4:08 remaining. He finds Jacoby Grimm for their second connection on the season, but it was their first that hit the pay dirt. It was a 26-yard touchdown pitch and catch from Wilson to Grimm to make it 14-0. Time was starting to tick down, under 2 minutes, around 2 minutes to go in the first quarter. As Dickinson's drive stalled, they had to punt it away, but it was Joe Tomasia who would end up blocking the punt, and he would go into the end zone. 4-6. They would get the extra point, 21-0, to head into the second quarter. Dickinson started to get that drive going. We talked about it, about to be about a must-score drive for Dickinson, and that is what they did. It was a drive that worked down the field, and Nate Stevenson, a 3-yard run, 21-7. They got the ball back with 3:39. It was Caden Shetter with a 6-yard touchdown run on the little pitch play, 21-14. Cheddar said, hey, I'm not done yet. He forces a fumble. Jesse Hammond jumps on top of it, gives Dickinson great field position with still about 3 minutes left to play before halftime, and they would work it down inside the 5, and Nate Stevenson fakes the handoff to Turner. Everybody on the St. Mary's side bites and allows Stevenson to prance his way in for 6. Bronze kick was good, and that's how we got there, 21-21. All 21 points for St. Mary's coming in the first quarter, and all 21 points for Dickinson coming in the second quarter. When we continue on the Charbonneau Car Center halftime show, we will talk about a little bit more about this matchup, but we're also going to take on a check-in at score updates around 2A as well as Friday Night Football here on the PSP Network.
The Jersey Mike's catering box is the easiest way to feed your friends. The hard part is picking your sub. That's why we're having a draft. With the first pick, Sarah from Carolina selects number 13, the original Italian.
You know, I trusted my gut, and that's exactly where the sub's going to go. So
hold on, we've got a trade. Jake traded his second pick with me, because I'm starved.
Freshly sliced subs to go, wherever you and your friends go. Jersey Mike's, a sub above.
Dakota Community Bank and Trust, your trusted partner for commercial and business loans. We not only provide lending you need to grow your business, but we also reinvest in our communities. We believe in strengthening our businesses and creating opportunities for success. Choose Dakota Community Bank and Trust for your commercial and business loans, and together let's keep our communities thriving.
Serving the community, looking out for you. At Dakota Community Bank and Trust, that's what we do.
Friday Night Lights, and we've got a fun one here in the Queen City, 21-21 at the half. As in on the halftime show, brought to you by Charbonneau Car Center. They know drivers in Dickinson, New England, Richardson, Belfield, Williston, North Dakota, and Glendive, Montana. Work hard, play hard, and need a car that can keep up. That's why they choose to offer Buick, GMC, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram lineup at their dealership in Dickinson. If you're interested in learning more, stop into their showroom and treat yourself to a test drive. Visit them online at charbonneaumotors.com. Well, let's jump into score updates. And again, since this is a late one, 7:30 Mountain kickoff, and most of the state plays on the Central Time, so it's, again, pretty late elsewhere. But all the games in 2A are already final, except here tonight as we're just at the half. And again, big week, and I'm going to put on the standings here for you as I go down these 2A scores, just so you can kind of see the importance of some of these games. Kindred took on Grand Forks Central. It's probably going to be for the East Region title, and Kindred stays undefeated in the battle of the undefeated, 27-7, giving the Knights their first loss on the season. Grand Forks Red River over Wahpeton tonight, 55-26, and Central Cass over Fargo South, 24-7, which very well could have been for a playoff spot for the Squirrels when things are said and done in a couple of weeks. Now for the West Region, again 21-21 here. Watford City defeating Jamestown 34-21. So Watford City going to be moving in as a 2-win team. They'll tie themselves up with Devils Lake for the second spot in the region. And the big one, though, I guess I may have spoiled it because they're tied with Devils Lake. That means Devils Lake fell tonight against the top-ranked Minot North. It was the top offense versus the top defense, and the top defense gets it done, 26-21. Minot North stays perfect on the season, and after tonight's games, again, only 2 perfect teams remain in 2A, Kindred in the East and Minot North in the West. Now let's move on over to 3A. Number 3 ranked West Fargo Horace defeats last year's state champs West Fargo Cheyenne 28-7. And actually that was the battle of the 2A versus 3A champions from last year. Mandan puts up 69 points against Williston, 69-34. Century defeated Minot 31-6. Battle for the West Region potential title there for 3A. Bismarck versus Bismarck Legacy. It's the Demons that get it done, 36-29 over the Sabres. Fargo Davies defeats West Fargo 28-22, and Shanley 56-29. So there you go, Davies, your number 1 team. They barely get by those pesky Packers of West Fargo, but a lot of great matchups there throughout. But now we'll head on over to 11A. Dickinson Trinity picks up the win, 43-20. They still have the kind of the keys to the car, if you will. They're in that, I believe that might have secured them into a playoff spot, but still have a chance to be the 1 seed in the region champs, but might need some help depending on how the rest of the games have went tonight. Keeping on with Region 4, Central McLean defeated Hazen 50-8 to keep their chances of the region crown in line. And Killdeer 55-34 with the win tonight will keep them undefeated in region play. And they are still in the running for the Region 4 title against Southern McLean. 55-34 victory. And we'll talk about that here in a second. Bowman County 22 to Shiloh Christian 20 in the final minute. But the severity there in region number 4, Killdeer, Central McLean, and Dickinson Trinity are all right there in the mix. Killdeer takes on Central McLean. If Killdeer wins that game, they're going to be your Region 4 champs next week. If Central McLean wins it, that would force a 3-way tie for Killdeer, McLean, and Dickinson Trinity. And then you'd have to go by score differential and try to figure out who's the 1, 2, and 3 seed heading in to the playoffs. And already next week is the last week of the regular season for 11A and 9-man. You still got 2 weeks after this week for double and triple A. Now we move on to kind of your Region 4 schools in 9-man. Napoleon Gackle Streeter, 76 points against Standing Rock, 76-8. Also taking a look there of Hettinger County with a 28-18 win over New Salem Almont. Hettinger Scranton gets by Beach by a 1 score, 28-20. Lytton HMB, the top-ranked Lions, defeated Kidder County for the top 2 teams there in the region, 36-14. Grant County Flasher defeated Richardson Taylor Hebron, 32-14. big notable game at number 4 and number 5 in 9-man went toe-to-toe, Alexander and Divide County. That was also probably for the region title over there in Region 3. Alexander picks it up 40-20. So those are all your scores around the great state. I'll throw up the Friday night football graphic. All those games are final, but if you want to go back and watch a couple of those ones, again, Legacy and Bismarck ended up being very close. It was Bismarck that got the win, but hey, you could go back on the PSP Network anytime, see how they got done with that one. Again, Minot North and Devils Lake for the kind of the region crown, or to be the top team in AA here in WDA. Game down to a possession as well, so I might have to after tonight see how that one all shook up as well. But again, final game not only on the PSP Network, but in the state tonight right here on the PSP Network with St. Mary's and Dickinson, and that's going to wrap up the Charbonneau Car Center halftime show when we return. Getting the second half of action in a stalemate right now, 21-21. The next 2 quarters will decide the victor. Can't wait to see how this one plays out, and that's coming your way after a quick break.
It's time for this week's PSP Network Player Performance of the Week. Powered by the Aggie Foundation and Minot State University. Congratulations to this week's nominees on Big Time Games. The votes are in. And this week's Player Performance of the Week belongs to
Passing, and that'll be caught.
Make sure to like and follow the PSP Network on all social media platforms. And watch for next week's PSP Network Player Performance of the Week, powered by the Aggie Foundation and Minot State University. PSP Network, it's game day.
The Aggie Foundation is a 501c3. Our mission is to really help out the communities that allow us in for charitable gaming.
We are so thankful for Aggie Foundation for giving us the $2,500.
I can't thank the Aggie Foundation enough for what they've done.
Aggie Foundation has been just a great partner for our community.
Some of these programs wouldn't be able to continue on without funding from programs like this.
There you saw the Aggie Foundation Player of the Week, Jake Altringer. Now we'll see who's going to be your nominees for this week. Could it be getting some potential nominations from this game that's been lights out thus far? St. Mary's again scored the first 21 points, all occurring in the first quarter, and Dickinson scores the next 21 points, all occurring in the second quarter. So who's going to have the momentum in quarter number 3? A roller that will not go out of bounds, picked up by Polans. Polans popped by Xander. Dominic Xander lays the boom on Polans. There you see Xander finish him off and forces Dickinson to have a little bit of a tougher field position start with the ball at the 17. Dickinson's offense, first, was it 2-3 drives, went 0 for 2, 0 for 3? Well, their last 3, they were 3 for 3, ending in a touchdown. And another big hit right away. St. Mary's laying the hammer early on. Let's see it right here, laying the boom on the tackle. There's the celebration. Everyone is pumped up on the St. Mary's side, as that's what the doctor ordered for them. After seeing a lead slip away, trying to get back into that gritty defense that helped them build that lead in the first quarter. Stevenson, they're just going to go direct snap to the quarterback. He spins away from a tackler. They will continue to push the pile near the first down marker and give it to him. A 12-yard quarterback keeper. A maverick first down off the quarterback keeper. The pile at least had to move at about 7 yards. I would say he probably was going to gain about 4 or 5. And then he stayed upright, and the The offensive line, running backs, and everyone involved for the Mavericks do the rest. Push them for a first down. In what would have been a big-time stop for St. Mary's, their defense was firing on all cylinders, but Stevenson with, again, that relentless approach. They'll give it back to Turner. Turner met right away, not going to get much, and lucky to get back to the line of scrimmage. What a start, though, defensively for the Saints. 3 or 4 big-time plays right away. It's just that one that more than likely, more times than not going to happen where you see a pile get moved like that 7-8 yards. Somehow Stevenson kept upright and continued on the drive, but the Saints with another big stop right away on first down, forcing a 2nd and 10. Stevenson, pump fakes, looking deep. He's looking for Glauser. Lots of contact, and there's the call. Looks like it's going to be on Ruggles, and Ruggles just staring down the referee. Let's take a look at this one on the Ryan Family Dealership instant replay. And it could be one of those cases where maybe Ruggles is thinking that it was Glauser that initiated the contact. But either way, however you look at it, there was a hand in there on both sides. There will be a pass interference, and Dickinson will take that one. It's one of those ones where if you're on the defense, you go, oh, man, how did that happen? But if you're the offensive team, you go, oh, we'll take those any day of the week. Those are just the calls you get when you air out the offense. And Stevenson was able to put it into that spot. That was a playable play there. Leeson spins right into a tackle from Xander. As Leeson stumbled a little bit to get up after that one. And St. Mary's, again, continues to hit hard here on the defensive side here in the third. Ball right at midfield. Right on the Dickinson State Blue Hawk logo. Almost gets an encroachment call. Instead, there'll be a misdirection to Caden Cheddar. Cheddar will cross midfield, gain of 2. And looking at that Blue Hawk logo, tomorrow is homecoming, 100 years of DSU football being honored. Tomorrow at 1 o'clock, as it'll be the battle of the DSUs, Dickinson State hosting Dakota State. There's going to be a lot of alumni and stuff in town. My brother-in-law was a linebacker for Dickinson State, and him and his group chat week 1, we're already talking about homecoming, which was about 5 or 6 weeks later, but hey, it was all the excitement. Everyone saying they were going to be in town for homecoming weekend, so it should be a busy day in the Queen City tomorrow. Carry there for Cheddar, brings it in to 4th and 1. And do you know in the 4th and 1 who's running out on the field? Isaac Lowry and Devin Height, providing again that gritty smash mouth football. Those two like to either pave the line or they'll get those productive yards on the ground if need be. What does McLaughlin drop here on 4th and 1? Big time momentum play in this game on either side. St. Mary's going to crowd the line. And McLaughlin will take a timeout as St. Mary's was showing a lot of pressure. They want to talk about a 4th and 1, and that's coming up when we come back right here on the PSP Network. 7:54 remaining in a tie game here in the third quarter.
Wondering whether you need wealth management? Wealth management is a multifaceted offering that should provide opportunities for growth and security. At BNC National Bank, we pride ourselves on putting your priorities first and providing practical, objective financial advice. Our team can help you assess your goals and take stock of your assets to determine whether wealth management is right for you. Speak to a member of our team today to learn more. Member FDIC.
Dawson McLaughlin drawing up a pivotal 4th and 1. Devin Height was on the field. They take him off. They take off Isaac Lowry. So the two guys they brought in, they will take out on 4th and 1. Those two were going to be on the 4th and 1 play before the timeout. So they change up the play. It's going to be a quarterback keeper to Stevenson, and he will move the chains for a first down. He needed one, gets about 2. McLaughlin playing chess, not checkers. He brings out the big men on 4th and 1. St. Mary's knows it's going to be a run up the middle. They pressure there, a timeout taken, and then he takes those guys out, brings back the wide receivers, and still runs it up the middle. They give it to Cheddar. Cheddar met as soon as he touched the ball. He's whacked a good one. He's met right away by Carter Mikletish, the senior, who's committed to the University of Jamestown. He'll be a Jimmy next year. Key on the defense and the offensive line. Second and 10. For Dickinson, this is a 5-minute drive. Leeson on in and out motion. Stevenson back on the ground trying to spin out of a couple of tackles. Eventually mentioned by Tamasia. With the tackle, Tamasia again having a big time game. He's already got a special teams touchdown, and there's a nice tackle to force 3rd and 5. Almost halfway through quarter number 3 in a tied game, 21-all. Handing it back off to Turner. Lowers the shoulder, met by Mikletish and Zander. Give him a gain of 2. Forcing a 4th and 4. On the way now. Does McLaughlin continue it on? And now you're kind of at this 4-down territory. Not quite in kicking range for Braun, but not where you would want to punt it either. So you kind of got to go for it here on a 4th and 4. They've already completed one 4th down conversion this drive. Broughton moves to the right side of the line. Back to the quarterback keeper for Stevenson. He's caught by Barth and dragged down. A defensive stop for St. Mary's, led by Jackson Barth. They tried to go back to all reliable, did Dickinson. Back to the quarterback keeper. But Barth and the Saints ready for it. So a 6.5-minute drive will stall out at the 35-yard line of St. Mary's, and that's where the Saints will set up shop on their own side of the field. Copy the lone receiver on the bottom of your screen. Barth moves from the right side to the left side of the line. They hand it off to Price, who finds a gap, tripped up by Hammond. Was hit by Glazer, who initially gets him down, but he stumbles forward, give him an 11-yard gain for Beckett Price. Again, there's a reason he leads the West region in rushing yards here in 2A. Him and Briar Exner, the only two in the 900-yard category of Devils Lakes. So that matchup last week between Devils Lake and St. Mary's saw the top two runners in the region go toe-to-toe. Barth now go left side to right side of the line. They hand it back off to Price. He dances, finds a little bit of a gap, and he goes for 4. Goes for 4 and goes into DHS territory. As Cheddar comes off the field, gets a high five there from Coach McLaughlin for a job well done for Cheddar, who's had a solid day here for the Mavericks. Left to right, they give the handoff. And going in on that one is, on the carry is Bennett Grimm. Grimm with a gain. About 4 on the play. But take away the 4-yard gain as it is a penalty on the play for St. Mary's, and they were trending near a first down, but instead now we faced with a 3rd and long, 3rd and 17. Again, you got a lot of these teams in this region that are very, very run heavy, and St. Mary's is kind of one of them, so it makes these 3rd and 15 territories kind of limits the playbook to an extent. Let's see what they drop here. Fakes the handoff. Wilson to Ruggles. Over Brady Ruggles' head. It goes incomplete. And both teams' opening drive here in the second half. Both will stall out short. So 3:41. You saw a lot of possessions in the first and second quarters. Both these two teams have only touched the ball once here in quarter number 3, and only 3:41 on the clock. Pollins awaits the punt. Another beautiful punt. Pollins is going to let that one go. Kind of bounces back and forth. They'll leave it, and it will take a friendly St. Mary's bounce. And picked up at the 12-yard line where Stevenson and the Mavericks will hit the field. The Mavericks went down the field, 6.5-minute drive to start the third quarter, but ended up stalling out on a 4th down play at the 35-yard line. They get the ball back deep in their own zone. Stevenson, quick pass to the outside to Leeson, shoelace tackle, making sure Leeson don't break out for another big play. Get back to the line of scrimmage, so count it up as a gain of 0 as Shane Ciani checks in, I believe, for the first time tonight. So I've seen him as he'll check in for Tucker Broughton. Broughton kind of that blocking tight end. They'll bring in an extra weapon so they can go 2 receivers to both sides. See that a lot week to week, but haven't seen that this package a lot here today. Stevenson, option play, pitches it out, and Cheddar getting near the first down marker. They'll mark him a yard short. They initially marked him a yard short. It was Leeson, excuse me. And now they will signal for a move of the chains. So Paxton Leeson was the option player there. Normally you see it with the running back, and that's why I thought it was Caden Cheddar, but no, it was Leeson. Works out to perfection. A big play call there for first-year head coach Dawson McLaughlin. 2 receivers out to the left. Glauser, the lone one, to the right side. They look back to Leeson. They fake it to him. They get the bite. Here it is to Pullins. In and out of the hands. You see that play probably once a week. And normally it pays in for a payter to touchdown. This one, though, just a little bit of underthrown, and Pullins could not bring it in. Last week, that ended in 6. It was the receiver was Glauser last week for the touchdown. And this is how they build it up. They do those little screen plays throughout the entirety of the game, and then when you're least expecting it, they fake the screen and they have that big streak route. And it's worked into perfection for them that time, just not quite connecting. 2nd and 10. Looking to his right, now to his left. Stevenson just going to tuck it and run, picking up a few yards as he scurries out of bounds. Stevenson did a good job of just keeping his eyes up, and able to scramble out of some pressure. Picks up 3 yards on the play, and those 3 yards open up the playbook a little bit more than what a 3rd and 10 would be, make it 3rd and 7. Siani back into the field. Stevenson facing some pressure, steps into the pocket and overthrows Glauser. St. Mary's defense comes up with a big-time stop, giving their back the field, and that's what this game's going to be. What defense can continue to make these stops and get their offense back on the field as quick as possible. You want to have as many chances on offense as possible. The defenses could be the ones to decide it. St. Mary's defense was huge in the first quarter. Dickinson's defense was huge in the second quarter, and right now both defenses playing huge. A ball was touched by St. Mary's. Special teams comes up with a big play for Dickinson. St. Mary's was blocking. Well, they touched the ball here, and we got it on the Ryan Family Dealership instant replay. Here you see it. Ball has taken some weird bounces, and it hits off the back of the leg of Richter. Gonna watch it again. We've seen a block punt for a touchdown for St. Mary's, and now Dickinson gets lucky with one of those weird bounces, hitting off of a Saint, and it keeps the Mavericks offense on the field. Turner finds a big gap. We talked about the defense as well. It's the special teams that have also played pivotal. Tomasio with a block punt for a touchdown for St. Mary's, and there it is, Jackson Braun's kick that just takes a weird tumble. Hits off the back leg of Richter. Dickinson noticed that right away. He knew the rules, jumps on top of it, gets the ball, keeps possession of him. 2nd and 4. Hands it back off to Turner. Almost broke loose, but brought down by Richter, making it 3rd and 1. So what do you do on a 3rd and 1? Again, 4 down kind of territory now again for Dickinson. Right where their last drive stalled was right around this territory. 3rd and 1. Could go back to the Stevenson carry, quarterback keeper, and that's what they're going to do. Keep in the hands of the junior quarterback. He powers his way for a Maverick 1st down. With less than 1 minute remaining in the 3rd. Again, if you're just joining us, St. Mary scored 21 points in the first quarter, go up 21-0. Dickinson would score 21 of their own points in the second quarter to tie it up before half, 21-21. But here in the 3rd quarter, it's been the defenses that have kept the offenses off the scoreboard to this point. Turner cuts right into DeMarch and Richter, who bring him down. A gain of 2 for Turner, and that very well could have been the last play of the 3rd quarter. Time is ticking, and yes, it will be. Dickinson, the sidelines, got the number 4 up. They're ready for the 4th quarter as they've got the ball in St. Mary's territory in a tie game, 21-21. 4th quarter coming your way on the PSP Network when we return.
Being in business for over 25 years, we've learned a lot about why local matters. Unlike those guys, we take pride in our work and back our tires with our Plus Plan guarantee to get the most out of your tire's lifespan.
Are the tires the same size on all the sides?
We strive to provide great value to our guests and lowest prices guaranteed.
That's not good.
Stop at a trusted tire and auto and get a set of tires from people you know and trust, and will even match those guys.
That sinking feeling you get when this happens? That's oil change anxiety. The anxiety of being without a car with a billion things to do. The fear of being overcharged, the stress of not knowing where to go or who to trust. But you never get those feelings at Valvoline Instant Oil Change, where you can watch us work right from your car, and we finish up in about 15 minutes.
We changed your oil and did our 18-point safety check.
Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Service you can see, experts you can trust.
21-21. It takes the fourth quarter once again for Dickinson to see if they're in the win or loss column. Now it's the fifth game that they're within a possession or tied going into the fourth quarter. They power ahead for a gain of about 6, bring it into 3rd and 2. Tonight's game brought to you in part by Bones Barbecue Sauce, a true North Dakota original, created and bottled right here in North Dakota. Premium barbecue sauce in a perfect on anything from ribs to burgers to even vegetables. Find them at your local grocery store today, Cash-Wise, Marketplace, or Family Fare. It is definitely good on burgers, I will say that for sure. Again, they've got a couple locations in the Magic City as well. Stevenson right on ahead as they mark him right at the first down marker. Will it be good enough, though, for a first down? We'll have to wait and see. Stevenson pointing, yes. Head ump comes in, and no. 4th and 1. 4th and 1, but I wouldn't even say it's a full one. As they're looking on to get the play call. What do you call up? 4th and 1, you probably maybe need a couple of inches. Not quite a full yard. You've seen Stevenson with the quarterback carrying a lot of these situations. Almost getting a encroachment call. Stevenson bounces to the outside. He gets a first down and wrapped up at the Serve Pro red zone. There you see it. Normally Stevenson goes right up the middle. Great awareness play there by the junior quarterbacks of saying, hey, I know all the Saints will be going right down the heart of this offensive line. Let's bounce it to the outside. Does that, gets it into the Serve Pro red zone, ball at the 18-yard line. Broughton works the left side of the line. They hand it off to Turner. Goes right up the gut. Powers his way in for a gain of 5. Who's going to be the hero in tonight's contest? These two teams have been in quite the battle all night long. Both physical and mental battle of Dickinson going down by 21 points. Then scoring 21 straight points in the third quarter. Then it's the mental side for St. Mary's. The momentum was on Dickinson's side. They bounced back well, and it was a stalemate of the third quarter. Fourth quarter decides who's in the win and loss column. They give it to Cheddar, a late flag throwing from behind as Cheddar gets to about the initial, or that line of scrimmage mark, and they're going to point towards Dickinson. So was it going to be a 3rd and 5, or are they going to decline it? It would be around a 2nd and 10, depending on what the call is. Oh, a 10-yard penalty, excuse me, so 2nd and mark it into a 15. So in that situation, you would rather just take the yards, push them back, and let them get a couple chances at it instead of 3rd and 5. Push them out of the red zone. Again, Dickinson has a kicker in Braun that can kick field goals. It is a little windy here in the Queen City, though, tonight. Stevenson faces the pressure. He stumbles down, and it's a sack for Dominic Sander. He's pumped up. He comes up with a big-time play to work potentially Dickinson out of field goal territory. I've seen Braun kick kicks from around 25 to 25-yard line, 25-yard line. Now let's just wait and see if Jackson gets a chance and how aggressive Dickinson wants to be. They want to be aggressive. They're going for it all. Throwing it in the direction of Pollins, who's popped, and Dickinson doesn't like how aggressive that hit was there, putting the hands up on the sideline. But now what do? Waiting to see, and Jackson Braun is headed on to the field. He's the PAT kicker, and he's the punter. We've seen him kick him from about 25 yards at the 25-yard line and have a couple yards to spare. And they're going to challenge him here. About a 45-yard kick for Jackson Braun to try to put Dickinson on top. Braun's kick is low as it squibs down. Could not quite get that one to lift. And that will allow St. Mary's a big defensive stand, a big penalty call against Dickinson. Helps St. Mary's defense coming up clutch, and now has St. Mary's with a chance to try to go on top with 8:30 on the board here in the fourth quarter. This is one of those games where it's all on both units, all three units, offense, defense, special teams. Offense has made all the plays in that first half. Defenses have made most of the plays here in the second half. Special teams have been crucial at different points. And wait a second, since Jackson Braun's kick was kind of on the ground, and they said it didn't go into the end zone or anything like that, they're going to down it at the 1. You see that's morely played in on Canadian Football League rules, but don't see it a lot here in these rules here in the U.S., but put it out the 1. So give them at the 1-yard line. So we just talked about special teams making plays. Well, it's one that might not be 3 for Braun, but he puts St. Mary's in quite the predicament here. Puts them right at the shadow of their goalpost. At the 1-yard line. They hand it off to Richter, trying to bounce to the outside. Height and company finally able to finish them off at the 6. And that's exactly what St. Mary's needed to do to get out of that end zone. Give them some breathing room. Allow to open up their offense a little bit. Instead of knowing it's probably going to be a run up the gut or something of that to try to get out of there. Still Price's feet, though, in the blue of the end zone. Back to Richter on the fullback dive. Whole bunch of Mavericks in on the tackle. Colby Fast Horse, Jesse Hammond, Devin Height. All there on the team tackle. Gain of nothing on the play, 3rd and 5. 7:20 on the board. Every drive till the end is going to be bigger and bigger than the next. Bigger than the previous. Pitches it out to Price. Height hits him short of the first down marker, forcing a 4th down for St. Mary's. Height was pretty much in on every tackle on this drive. He is a tackling machine. That's the only way to describe the senior. Leads them in tackles, over 70 tackles on the season. Again, this is week 7, so averaging over 10 tackles per game. Comes up with a big one there. Forces a St. Mary's punt in their own end zone. Height almost gets a piece of it as Pollins hauls it in cleanly at the 46, as Dickinson will have it in St. Mary's territory with 6:20 on the board. Devin Height was getting a lot of love as he was coming in to the bench, but they send him right back out. He'll be the tight end on this sequence. First down and 10 to start the new drive for the Mavericks. Ball at the St. Mary's 46. Goes right into the quarterback keeper, Stevenson, as he gains about 3 on the carry. Yeah, this Dickinson team, you'll see that play and that quick throw to the outside, that quick kind of wide receiver screen play, bubble screen, a lot, but it's able to really just able to change this game. They pick up those couple little yards on that. Then they'll get to the defenses to focus on those plays, and it opens up for some different ones. So see what they drop here in the late stages of the fourth. They'll go right up the middle with Caden Shetter. Another 3-yard carry. Just chipping away at the yardage department. Gain of 3 and a gain of 3. Now sets up a 3rd and 4 coming up for DHS. Cheddar checks out. Stevenson gets the call. Heads on into the huddle as they break it. 3rd and 4. Back into that 4 down territory. Low snap. Stevenson takes it himself. Will pick up the first down, but no, a flag will come out. As of now, it's a first down. We'll have to wait and see what the flag means. And they point towards Dickinson. Not what McLaughlin and the coaching staff wanted to see on the Maverick sideline after they were able to convert on what would have been a 3rd down conversion. But instead, a holding will bring up 3rd and 14. 5 minutes on the board. Let's go Mavs chance on the student section. Trying to provide a jolt here in the offense. Stevenson, 3rd and 14. Looks to throw. Looks like it hits off the ground, intended for Glauser. Ryan Family Dealerships instant replay, just hitting the ground before Glauser can corral it safely into his hands, and now it's 4th and 12, ball at the 48. And it looks like it's punting time for the Mavs. They stayed out on the field there for a while, but they will now exit. 8 seconds on the play clock. I don't know if they were certain if they were going to punt it or not. 3 seconds. Not quite set. And it's going to be a delay of game on Dickinson. Yeah, and Dickinson didn't know if, I think they were staying out. They were still contemplating it. Normally, you know, on a 4th and 12, you're running off to the sideline pretty quickly, but they took up about 13 seconds of the play clock until they decided to send out the punt team. Braun was ready, but the offensive line was quite not set and just could not quite snap it. Braun now will get the punt off this time. A nice line drive punt, has a friendly Dickinson roll, brings it right up to the 10. Picked up by Price, who's wrapped up quickly at the 20-yard line. Flipping from one side to the next. Dickinson has had some decent field position here in the second half. But it's St. Mary's defense that's come up big when they've needed to. Putting back their offense on the field one more time with 4:35 on the board. Price not going to quite get there. A big hit by Tolliver. Supporting a new jersey number again, wearing the 33 is Tolliver. Big thanks out to Dawson McLaughlin letting us know about the jersey change tonight. Always makes us commentators' jobs just a little bit easier, knowing who's wearing what jersey. Tolliver in that 33 again on that defensive line. Wilson looks back to pass. He's got fast horse on his heels. Wilson showing that he has some jets trying to go in. A big tackle for height, and a flag goes up. They're going to say a late hit, I would probably assume, and now let's take a look. Unless they go horse collar, if it's a late hit, I mean, there was contact when he was still in bounds for height, though. You see the jersey kind of shrug a little bit if that is that call, but we'll just have to wait and see. I think they said a late hit. A late hit that could change momentum. It gives a big-time first down. Let's take a look at it again. Again, not much height can do. He grabbed onto him when he was still in bounds, and just the way it kind of shook. But for St. Mary's, they catch a break, and hey, for them, any way they can get yards, they will take it. They hand it off to Richter. He works his way into Dickinson territory. He spins in for a first down. A 12-yard carry for the fullback, Richter. Cale Thompson sprints onto the field. Thompson checks in for Jacob Britton, who made his first start on the season. Two receivers to both sides. The shotgun formation for Wilson and the Saints. Hands it off to Price, the electric junior running back, with a 10-yard carry. All the momentum starting to turn to St. Mary's here late in the fourth quarter. They will now move the chains. They needed 10, he got 10. When it rains, it pours, and right now, St. Mary's having everything tilted to their favor. Handing it off to Price. He's hit hard by Turner. All 42 points on the scoreboard. You see 21 for both teams. They was all scored in the first half. Not a single score in the second half of action. More than likely, the next score will be the game winner. At least of how this second half has went, that's how you would probably assume it's going to be. Richter with the handoff. He is hit hard. Soon as he gets the ball there from Nate Stevenson. In the first 4 or 5 weeks, Stevenson just played at the quarterback position on offense. Last week, though, in Jamestown, he made the start defensively as well. Gets the start at that inside linebacker spot again tonight. Comes up with a big-time tackle, forcing 3rd and 5. It's Richter, the running back. Copy in motion. Swing it out to Ruggles. He's hit by Stevenson. Stevenson with back-to-back big, important tackles for the Mavericks. Force now a 4th and 3, and now bring up a big-time decision for Schweitzer. More than likely, it is, again, that 4-down territory with the game on the line. Minute 30 left in the game, so what will Schweitzer draw up here on 4th down when we return?
Breathe in. I can't believe I wrecked my car. There are some things in life we can't control, but what's important is how we respond.
At Jerome's Collision Center, they provide the highest quality of service, assuring the job gets done stress-free and making it feel like a breath of fresh air. And to give you peace of mind, they handle the insurance.
Are you even a therapist?
Don't worry about it. Jerome's, they're the experts. Jerome's.
(21-21). Game on the line. St. Mary's knocking on the red zone door. But will it open? We'll find out here. 4th and 4. A chance to continue on the drive. Beckett, Price, Wilson, and Richter. It looks like it's Wildcat formation. Direct snap to Price. Surges forward. Getting a push enough for a St. Mary's Saint first down. Always fun to see the Wildcat formation. Anytime I'm playing either Madden or NCAA, you always got to make sure that whatever playbook you're using has the Wildcat formation, just for fun. And there the Wildcat comes up clutch. 21-all. Minute left in the contest, at least in regulation. Pitching it out to Price. He's in to the Serve Pro red zone right at the 20-yard line. Timeout taken. So St. Mary's, not going to be, a little bit of confusion here. It looks like St. Mary's called timeout, but not all their players went to the sideline. We'll stay, though, right here on this important drive. 54 seconds left in the ballgame. Tonight's game brought to you in part by our great sponsors and friends over at Northern Plains Heating and Air. There's no other choice to seal your heating and air game than Northern Plains Heating and Air. Call Dylan today at 222-2155 to make sure your furnace is ready for the winter months ahead. New installation upgrades and all your furnace and AC needs. Again, call Dylan today at 222-2155. It's been the battle here of field position. It's been the battle of timely turnovers and flags and stuff like that here in the second half after it was all offenses in the first half. All points on your screen were scored in the first half, all St. Mary's in the first quarter, and all 21 points for Dickinson came in the second quarter. None were scored in the third, and in the final minute of the fourth, whoever scores here could be the winner. Wilson throws one to Barth, overthrows him into the end zone. Incomplete. Now here is the thing. You're in at the 20-yard line. I'm not 100% sure if Asher Coughlin has got the field goal experience. Did not see if he had the field goal stats on him, but he does have a perfect 3 for 3 on the PAT, and if you get into that PAT frame, then hey, why not kick the field goal, try to win it there. Maybe you'd want an extra 5 yards to feel safe if you're Coach Schweitzer. Price powers through and gets exactly that, so you're in field goal territory, you would at least assume, for Asher Coughlin. Trying to seal it for the game-winning field goal. 28 seconds. St. Mary's letting their time tick, so it looks like they want to set up for that game-winning field goal. They're probably telling Thomas Wilson right now of where they wanted to get that ball, unless that's exactly where they want it. Time is ticking down. 5 seconds on the play clock. They're going to take a timeout and go for the game-winning field goal. They're not going to play another offensive snap. So game-winning field goal as time expires coming up on your way. St. Mary's, if it is good and through the uprights, will pick up their first conference win on the year and will leapfrog Dickinson, and they would be put into that playoff spot. But for Dickinson, if they can block or see this one go outside the uprights, it would force overtime. You don't see OT very often in high school. But will we see it today? It all comes down to the field goal kicker. Asher Coughlin. The holder is Jacoby Grimm. It's getting loud here in the Bijou Activity Center. Coughlin lines it up. The lefty kicker to be the game winner. And Dawson McLaughlin ices it. Trying to ice Coughlin, trying to make him think about it a little bit more. Coughlin, a junior tight end and linebacker who also goes by their PAT kicker, has a chance to be the hero tonight for St. Mary's. Perfect 3 for 3 on the PATs. But this one would be for 3 and for the win. St. Mary's 1-5 on the season. They were faced with the toughest schedule probably that you could draw up in 2A to start the first 6 weeks. Played all the top 5 teams in the state, every single one of them. Grand Forks Central, Grand Forks Red River, Kindred, Devil's Lake, Minot North. All those top 5 teams the first 6 weeks. They're seeing if they can try to make a run on the playoffs here in the backstretch. Coughlin, after being iced. Dickinson out of timeout, so this one is going to be for the win. Getting loud here in the Bijou. Low snap. Coughlin's kick is good. Asher Coughlin walks it off for St. Mary's. A walk-off win for the St. Mary's Saints. And it's the kicker of Asher Coughlin. It was a low snap, but Grimm picks it up and puts it right there for Coughlin to boot it through. Special teams was a difference maker for both sides, and special teams is what gets it done as time expires. St. Mary's victorious 24-21. Let's talk about it when we return on the PSP Network on the Charbonneau Car Center postgame show.
This presentation on the PSP Network is proudly brought to you by social media platforms. PSP Network, it's game day.
When facing disaster, it's not just the things we lose, but the memories. But there's hope. ServPro, with decades of experience in Minot and Bismarck, is always ready. Our certified professionals don't just restore homes, they rebuild lives. Because to us, you're not just a client, you're family.
Our stylists are trained to understand the nuances of cutting men's hair.
Less pomp, more adore, huh, Brittany?
Square face, wavy hair.
Mid-fade with a textured top. Finish it off with a hard part and taper that neckline, coach.
Cowlick, what's the move? It's not just all about hard work here.
Hit all. 7. Pressure. Points. Yeah.
It takes expertise to be a sport clip stylist.
Here?
That's the spot. Right there, huh?
Sport Clips, the pros in men's hair.
Whether you're looking for a full-service financial plan or planning for farm or business succession, Planning Team Financial Advisors is here to help you work toward achieving your financial goals. With locations in Bismarck, Garrison, and Center, our full-service team of professionals are dedicated to helping you work towards achieving your financial goals. Visit us online, planningteam.com.
Securities offered through LPL Financial, member of FINRA SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through New Edge Advisors, LLC, a registered investment advisor. New Edge Advisors, LLC, and Planning Team Financial Advisors are separate entities from LPL Financial.
Planning for the future is difficult, but pre-planning your funeral is a thoughtful way to ease the burden on your loved ones. At Stevenson Funeral Home, our compassionate team will help you create a personalized plan that reflects your values. We'll make sure that your wishes are honored and that your family will have peace of mind in a challenging time. Call us today to start your pre-planning journey. You can count on us to be with you every step of the way. Stevenson Funeral Home.
There you see St. Mary's in their huddle as they are victorious in walk-off fashion tonight. Let's talk about how we got there here on the Charbonneau Car Center post-game show. It was an exciting one. Charbonneau Car Center, they know drivers in Dickinson, New England, Richardson, Belfield, Williston, North Dakota, and Glendive, Montana. Work hard, play hard, and need a car that can keep up. That's why they choose to offer Buick, GMC, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram lineup at their dealership in Dickinson. If you're interested in learning more, to stop into their showroom and treat yourself to a test drive. Visit them online at charbonneaumotors.com. Well, this one was quite the contest between these two teams. Could be battling for playoff spots when things are said and done, and we knew it was going to be a close one, and that's what we got. But early on, everything was pointing towards St. Mary's. As on their first drive, Beckett Price, one of the most electrifying running backs in the state, on a 40-plus yard touchdown run, 7-0. About 5 minutes later, they would find the scoreboard again. Jacoby Grimm on his only second reception on the season. This one hits pay dirt. Nice pass from Thomas Wilson, 26 yards. It makes it 14-zip. And special teams, we talked about it all day long of how important they were for both teams. But it was Joe Tomasia with a blocked punt, and he was the one to win the race. He jumps on the ball in the end zone, 21-0. St. Mary's scores the first 21 points all in the first quarter, and Dickinson was at that point already at the end of the first and into the second, where it was a must-score drive. You felt it, to try to get that momentum on their side, and that's what they did. A long drive. Stevenson carries a 3-yard touchdown run, 21-7. Then it was Caden Cheddar, who had a fantastic game, a 6-yard run for him on a pitch play, and Caden Cheddar comes up with another big play, this time defensively just a couple plays later. He forces a fumble. Jesse Hammond jumps on top of it, and just around 3 minutes left, gives Dickinson the ball again. And they would get it right to the goal line. Nate Stevenson fakes the handoff to Wyatt Turner. He keeps it himself for the score. Third quarter was all defense. Keeps everyone off the scoreboard. In the fourth, more special teams put on all full display. You had Jackson Braun have a punt that hit off of a St. Mary's player. You felt that is what Dickinson needed. They got good field position, but they could not quite capitalize. It was into field goal range, but a sack took them out of field goal range, forced a tough kick for Braun, could not quite make it, and then St. Mary's builds it back the other way, takes the time, drains it all out, and Asher Coughlin boots it through the uprights. And let's check it out on the instant replay. There you see it goes through. And there you will see the celebration after for Asher Coughlin and St. Mary's that plays walk-off winners here in Dickinson tonight. 24-21. And it is now time for tonight's Sports Clips MVP, the contest. Lots of options for both teams. You know, Dickinson, Nate Stevenson had a great day. He played clean football, made some big first downs. Caden Cheddar was big on both sides. Devin Height has been that constant on defense all season long. For St. Mary's, Thomas Wilson made some big throws. Beckett Price, Zach Richter made the big runs when they mattered. But tonight's Sports Clips MVP of the matchup. Sports Clips, home of the MVP haircuts experience. Nothing comes close to making you feel quite like an MVP. Tonight's MVP is Asher Coughlin, the kicker for St. Mary's. A perfect 3 for 3 on the PAT, and he boots in the game winner. Gets the play of the game, and the player of the game does the kicker for St. Mary's. Helps them seal it in the end as time expired 24-21. Well, that's going to do it for that one, 24-21. But let's take a look again at those WDA standings. Minot North with the victorious over Devils Lake today, so they'll go to 3-0. Devils Lake will be 2-1. Watford City defeated Jamestown, so Watford City is 2-1. Now Dickinson and St. Mary's both 1-2, and with the win, brings their tiebreaker for St. Mary's as they will leapfrog Dickinson and will carry that 4th spot into the playoffs as of now. And then Jamestown 0-3. So that's how that is shaking up there. And again, just 2 more weeks in AA and AAA for those playoff spots to be final for 11A and 9-man last week. Next week is the last week of the regular season. Lots of great games coming your way on the PSP Network coming up next week, so stay tuned for that. And we've got a lot of Thursday night football games and then a couple of Friday night ones as well, as again, got Thursday and Friday night for football and plenty of volleyball action coming your way on Tuesday, so stay tuned for that on the PSP Network. Well, big thanks out to everyone, all of our sponsors. Big shout out to Guy Fridley, the AD here at Dickinson, as well as Jason Watson for the Bijou Activity Center. Always great to work with them, and great venue here at the Bijou Activity Center and in Fisher Field. They have a big day ahead of them. Again, at the 100th year celebration for homecoming for DSU. Again, they take on Dakota State at 1 o'clock. So if you're in the area and want to check that out, again, you catch it right here at the Bijou Activity Center. Big thanks out to our camera operator, Austin Rotz, and the big producer today, Zach Sprague, for a great job as always. So for Austin, Zach, and myself, Brock Widener, have yourself a great weekend. This was a fun one. St. Mary's 24-21. We'll see you on the PSP Network for more high school action next week.
This presentation on the PSP Network is proudly brought to you by social media platforms. PSP Network, it's game day.